from Sandra. She says, I got hit in the face at full force by a cyclist when I was trying to cross the road, and he was going the wrong way down a one-way street somewhere in central London. I couldn't do much to hold him to account, but when I told him he shouldn't be going the wrong way, he said he wouldn't do it again, then proceeded on his way down the road in the wrong way again. I had a big red bump on my face, and it took me a good 15 minutes to get myself together again. Here's one from Tanya in London. I was crossing the road in the city yesterday, and a massive group of delivery cyclists just flew through the red light. I had to thrust out my arm to stop one careering into me. I shouted no as he laughed at me and just repeated no, no, no as he sped off. It's almost as if they don't understand what a red light means. I think they do understand. They just don't want to actually have to obey the rules of the road. Ryan, very good point here. I mean, that's a good move by Mark Harper, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, I think so. This has come up time and time again in recent years, and you see it time and time again with cyclists going through red lights or getting up ahead of speed before, while it's red, and then just sort of getting a little bit ahead, and it does wind up.
And everybody's got a story. I mean, if you walk in the city, or if you drive in the city, if you do anything in the city, you will have a story about cyclists. Kevin in East Sussex says, why does everyone say it's the tiniest amount of cyclists? In my experience, it's a tiny minority that actually obey the rules. I think you've got a point. Let's talk about Keir Starmer, though. Front page of the Daily Mirror, which I don't normally refer to for obvious reasons. They've obviously got the story. Keir to Mirror readers. He's given us his 6 plans: 6, deliver economic stability, cut NHS waiting times, launch a new border command. Those 3 identical things to Rishi Sunak. And then the next 3, set up Great British Energy, crack down on antisocial behaviour, recruit 6,500 new teachers. I mean, it's all a bit good to be true, a bit waffly, a bit vague. Is anybody really going to take this seriously?
This reminds me, looking at it, going back to 1997, you go back to the Tony Blair pledge card, where he had those 5 big pledges. And what this is meant to do, so if you take yourself back a year or so, Keir Starmer had these 5 big missions. Yeah. I can't remember. I'd have to look them up.
All I remember about the 5 big missions was that he didn't mention immigration. Yeah, that's right. And now he's obviously decided he better include that.
That's right. So now this is the retail, what they call the retail offer, the doorstep offer. Right. So when candidates go up to the door on when they're campaigning in the election come the end of the year, they will have a very sort of short, snappy version of what they want to sell and what they want to give to the public. So we've got things like the economy, NHS, recruiting more teachers. But as you say, the 6th one is the big immigration pledge, setting up this border security command. Now, this wasn't in the pledge before, but now it's front and centre. They've clearly worked out, or clearly realised, the focus groups are telling them that immigration, you need an answer to illegal immigration, and that's why it's there. It'd be incredible if a Labour candidate went up to a doorstep and they said, well, what are you going to say about illegal migration? They had to scroll down or look in a book and go, oh, I can't quite find it. But this gets to get the message across quite clearly.
Right, and I wonder whether this will now put an end to the ludicrous state of affairs where quite often you would see Labour MPs being interviewed on various different shows saying, but of course, you know, immigration's not a big issue for most people. It comes 4th or 5th or 6th. We get told this by pollsters all the time, but we know very well, don't we, particularly here at Talk, that this is a massive issue for people.
Yeah, it's a big issue, and you speak to the general public that there's a clear issue with either illegal migration or legal migration, and whether to cut that down those numbers.
Well, it's a combination of people seeing a change literally in the sort of the makeup of their towns and their cities. Even in small towns now, people are saying to me who call in, you know, there's now a bunch of people who have moved into the street that they live in, who have clearly been placed there in sort of what they call affordable housing or housing association houses. Clearly illegal migrants who have moved out of hotels. It's happening all over the country.
Yeah, totally. And I think one thing that Labour are very keen to do is to say what their plan on immigration does, or illegal migration, is actually deal with the whole problem. They were saying, a Labour spokesman was saying yesterday, the government plan only deals with 1% of the issue. Now, they have got the government have got the Rwanda plan that they've got, but they've yet to see anyone actually take off and actually get there. So they actually need a plane to take off to actually look like they've delivered something. And if they don't, there'll be big problems for them, because Rishi Sunak has put so much political capital into that the public will hold his feet to the fire on it.
Yeah, they will. And I mean, of course, the Labour Party now, I'm pretty sure, are now saying that they will not continue with the Rwanda policy, even if it's working. They've also said that they want to process people quicker, but they want to do it here rather than anywhere else, right? Because initially they were saying, were they not, that they wanted to do it in France.
Yeah, that's right. No, I think on that they would cancel the Rwanda policy straight away. Now, one thing, if you were the government, what you would do, you would set a few political traps for them.
Yeah.
You would have, if say the election is going to be in November, you would make sure there's flights set for December, January, February, March, and just watch them cancel all of them.
Yeah.
Because if some people are going, are going off and they're there and they're being deported there, it'd be interesting to see what Keir actually does, because it's all very well saying some things in opposition, but when you actually get into number 10 and you see that something's working, and what if it turns out that, I mean, it's very difficult to see all the boats stopping, but there's a massive reduction in that because they know they're going to be sent to Rwanda. Is he really going to stop that on day one? Perhaps he'll stick to his word, but it does seem, if something's working and you haven't got the massive influx of people coming in, it'd be interesting to see what he does.
Well, he's not known for sticking to his word, is he really? And I mean, the one that troubles me the most, possibly, in terms of the amount of money being set aside for it, is this great British energy business, because, it's not clear what that would be, how it would be set up, what it would do. Yeah. I was talking to a couple of Labour apparatchiks earlier on the show who were saying, oh, this is not going to replace energy suppliers, but it's going to supply the energy to those private companies. I'm not sure if that's going to work, is it?
It's going to be difficult to sell up. These things will take several years to do. You would have thought. But one thing that's benefited the Conservatives is because Labour obviously had their big £28 billion plan, and that's just been sort of curtailed. Now, I think some people would say, actually, that shows maybe Labour that their sort of lack of ambition, but they're being attacked ferociously by the Conservatives. How are you going to fund this? Where are you going to get all the money from? That they just had to row back from it. So, but if you want to go on the front foot, and over the course of 5 years or 10 years, if it's 28 billion a year, it's going to create a lot of jobs, and it's a bit of a flagship policy, why wouldn't you do it? But the actual incoming fire from the government was just too much for them to take.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it's not that easy to set anything up in this country and make it work very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Stay with me if you will, Raj. Just going to take a quick call from Martin, who's in Hertfordshire.